Varoom! It's Disney Adventures time again! Yes, so soon after the last one, because I've started doing these weekly. I don't really have an opening ramble to start the video out with, so let's just dive into it. So this is the February 11th, 1991 issue. Don't worry, eventually we'll get to an issue that you might have been alive to see. And today's featured celebrity is Bob Saget. You know, he was that guy who headlined Full House and Fuller House and hosted the first iteration of America's Funniest Home Videos, which is absolutely hilarious to anyone who knows this guy's brand of humor. This guy right here is one of the bluest, most raunchy comedians you'll ever hear. Like, every single joke is trying to piss you off. He was just one of the most foul-mouthed, in-your-face comedians of his time, and they put him as the lead in one of the schmaltziest, cleanest, no-risk sitcoms to ever reach the airwaves. Because, you know, that makes perfect sense to have this guy be the dad of the Olsen twins when he's... I thought about repeating some of his jokes. I'm not going to, because those will probably get me demonetized. But, you know, it's like casting Melissa McCarthy in something for kid... Oh, no, wait, she's going to be in the live-action Little Mermaid movie, isn't she? Well, it's like casting Wanda Sykes in... Oh, no, wait, she's done a lot of children's media as well, hasn't she? Well, it's like casting Sarah Silverman. Oh, no, she's in the Wreck-It Ralph movie and a bunch of other stuff. Well, it's like Oh, no, he's been in a lot of kid stuff. You know, when did we decide as a society, hey, we want to take the raunchiest, most blue stand-up comics we can find on stage and put them in movies for our 8-year-olds to enjoy? I don't know. I've never got that. But yeah, to his credit, Bob Saget was a fantastic actor. And unfortunately, he died recently. Yeah, last year, I believe. He suffered a fall and just instantly died. So that's sad. So if you want to honor the guy, then go watch a couple episodes of the early America's Funniest Home Video show. But if you really want to honor him, go watch him in The Aristocrats. Alright, anyway, we got Bob Saget, Don't Touch That Dial. Because, you know, he was on every TV show back in the early 90s. World's Weirdest Places. Oh, you want to see a weird place? Check out my bathroom right after I take a shower. Stuntman, Chills, Spills, and Thrills. And lots of pills. And then the comics, games, and more. And look, we got Roger Rabbit coming back. Yeah, I don't think we've seen any Roger Rabbit comics since the first one, so let's see what he's up to. You know, Disney legally can't use Roger Rabbit in anything because technically he belongs to Steven Spielberg, except he doesn't. He also belongs to Disney. There's just a lot of legal loopholes there, which is why we haven't seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2 yet. You know, instead they made the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers movie, which is basically the same thing. Alright, we got the bazooka ad that we've seen in practically every magazine up to this point, and it's still tasteless gum with tasteless comics, so who cares? NFL Kids on the Block, we saw this ad in the last magazine as well. It's just, at one point you could turn on your TV and learn how to play football. Or you could go outside and kick a football around. Probably give you more exercise there. Hello! We knocked ourselves out trying to come up with ideas for this issue. Well, if you're only 5 issues in and you're struggling to come up with ideas, then that's not a good sign. We came up with Stuntmen. No, I'm pretty sure Hollywood came up with Stuntmen about a century ago. Actually, they probably had stuntmen even before that for, like, stage plays and such, who knows. I always wondered what kind of people would want to set themselves on fire, jump off a 22-story building, hang from a helicopter, or do 4 flips in a car and end up at the bottom of a canyon. Dude, have you seen anyone who's trying to make it big on YouTube? They'll do all of the above in one day, plus swallow 10 Tide Pods afterwards. The excitement continues! We found kids who paint furniture! They knew what they were doing. They intentionally put that first on the list just to contradict the previous statement, didn't they? I hope they did. We talked on picture phones. Ooh, they Skyped. And we even broke out the chips for the Super Bowl. I don't care any which way about the Super Bowl, so whatever. Check out the picture of Chicago Bears William Perry's record-breaking Super Bowl ring. I don't really want to. Trust me, it's big. Bob Saget could also tell you what's big, but I'm not going to repeat it because I like YouTube giving me money. And so is this issue, so have a blast. I'll try. Oh, here's a nostalgic blast from the past. We got some Marvel trading cards. And this particular line are the Marvel Universe trading cards. Yeah, honestly, I've never really been able to tell the difference between them. I was not a trading card person when I was growing up. In fact, I think at one point Mom banned them from the house because she thought I was gambling with them. Which, how do you gamble with trading cards? I don't even get... Whatever. But yeah, a couple years ago when I was working for a subscription crate, these are the kind of cards that we'd find at thrift stores and stuff and pack them in these subscription crates. So I have seen quite a few of these. I think these were, I think these exact cards even. I think I did see quite a few of these exact cards, and we'd pack them like 5 at a time in a sleeve and sell them for like 25 cents a sleeve, which is probably more than the actual value of these cards. So we got some Deathlock. Ooh, that's interesting. They have Deathlock because Deathlock is a mostly unknown Marvel superhero. I think the most publicity he got was a couple episodes on a couple seasons of Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., except that was like a completely different Deathlock with a completely different backstory. But Deathlock is one of my favorite superheroes. I actually do have the entire line of the Michael Collins line, Michael Collins incarnation. I think that's what his name was. And yeah, I would love to find the other things of Deathlock if I can. And then we got the Thing versus the Hulk. Thing versus Hulk. That's always a battle that people want to see, as well as Superman versus the Flash, which I also have a trade paperback of all the times Superman and the Flash have raced. We got Silver Surfer, one of the hardest video games on the NES. And we got Magneto. Everybody loves Magneto. It looks like we got Wolverine back there. Maybe. I can't... Well, it says supervillain, so maybe that's Mephisto. Maybe that's like the Marvel Universe stand-in for the devil. I don't know. There's Doctor Doom. Everybody loves Doctor Doom. Sabretooth, yeah, the guy that's the first X-Men movie and the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie absolutely butchered. I don't know if he's been in anything since then because I don't really follow the X-Men. And there's the Hulk. Again, his movies were completely butchered. And for what I understand, they have to recast the Hulk because the Mark Ruffalo decided that he's retiring. Enchantress, I feel like I should know that name, but I can't place her. I can't tell what's behind there. I think that's the Thing right there. And there's Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Looks like there's Venom back there. And then X-Men versus Magneto. That's always happening. And then we have Silver Surfer versus Mephisto. Yeah, that costume does look like that. So yeah, I'm guessing that is Mephisto. And hey, Silver Surfer versus Mephisto. That sounds a lot more fun than Silver Surfer versus Galactus from the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer movie. So I want to see that. I don't know. It's probably from a comic, but I'll just have to stumble across that comic one of these days. And here's our table of contents. And here's our fan mail. What are the fans saying today? I've been involved in the Unicorn Circus program for 3 years. I've participated in many different acts, including the flying trapeze, juggling, the circus bike, vaulting, clowning, and the stationary trapeze. Now I teach some of the different acts. The circus is very challenging and rewarding, but most of all, it's just plain fun. Thank you, Paul Siemens from Westchester, New York. And yep, there's who I'm assuming is Paul at the Unicorn Circus program, located at French Word Sports and Arts Center in Starusa, Pennsylvania. Now, I did look this up to see if they were still around, but no, a search brought up absolutely nothing. They have been completely wiped from history, it looks like. Except I did read about the time that Ringling Brothers once had real unicorns in its show, which they basically fused the horns of some goats together. So technically, yes, they had some unicorns, but they only lasted a couple of years because, animal rights activists really got in their case about that. So they retired that, and actually in 2017, Ringling Brothers retired for good, mostly because of allegations by animal rights activists over their treatment of their animals. So, I'm not really going to get into that. I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, I like to draw. When there's a pencil in my hand, I can draw anything. I can draw Bart Simpson, Ninja Turtles, Garfield, cars, monsters, trucks, Bugs Bunny, and more. Thank you, Tony L. Zaragoza from Houston, Texas. Are you currently taking commissions? Because I am looking for an avatar artist. I actually did do a search to see if this guy's become a famous comic artist or animator or something along those lines, but no, I couldn't find anything, unfortunately. I don't know, maybe today he's like a tax consultant and he just does art in his spare time, who knows. I am interested in baseball. I'm glad somebody is. I collect baseball cards, and I would like to read more about Bo Jackson. I think there's something about Bo Jackson later in this issue, but sadly I don't really follow sports, so I don't want to read more about Bo Jackson. But hey, thank you, Paul Armstrong from La Crescenta, California. Look for upcoming issues with Little League Baseball and... Oh, they actually responded. Look for upcoming issues with Little League Baseball and maybe even Bo Jackson. Who knows if future issues will include Bo Jackson? Bo knows. And they're announcing the winners of the Greatest Adventure sweepstakes from the last issue. The one where these people get to go see the Super Bowl and be in the halftime show and all that sort of stuff. They're going to be announcing it next issue. So thank you for announcing in this issue for something that we will see next issue. Why you didn't just announce that next issue, I have no idea. But yeah, if you won this contest, if any of you watching won this contest, then good for you. Here's a little article about how they used real actors to stage animation scenes. So they actually had real actors in hastily built sets to kind of act out scenes for animators to take inspiration from and even trace over. So here's an actress pretending to be Alice in the original Alice in Wonderland animated movie. And here's an actor acting like he's on a horse and slicing through all the thorns in the Sleeping Beauty movie. And then up here it says that Sherry Stoner was the model for The Little Mermaid. And that kind of surprised me because I primarily know Sherry Stoner as the voice of Slappy from Animaniacs, as well as one of the most prolific writers on that show. So it's a little interesting that she started out as a model. And that's also why I haven't seen the new Animaniacs show because, well, they don't have Slappy Squirrel in it. They don't have any Slappy Squirrel segments. Yeah, it's a petty reason, I know, but Slappy Squirrel is my absolute favorite character from Animaniacs. Actually one of my favorite cartoon characters, period. Imagine Bugs Bunny, but he's 80. And, he's been there, done that, he knows all the gags, but she still does them because she's getting enjoyment from these guys who are trying to do these gags on her, not realizing that she's been through them over and over and over again during her long career. And she likes to entertain her grandnephew Skippy. But yeah, she's not in the newer Animaniacs show. Apparently there was some controversy behind the scenes. Apparently Sherry Stoner would only come back if she was also allowed to write and direct certain episodes. And apparently they were worried that she wouldn't get along with the new writing team. So yeah, they kicked her off. They just kicked the character out completely. At least that's what I've heard, but that's why I haven't seen the show and I probably won't. Yeah, it's a petty reason, I know, but I'm a petty man, what can I say? And then down here, who will be the model for Beauty and the Beast? They haven't decided yet, but they're going to the zoo tomorrow, let you know. It's amazing to imagine that there was once a world without Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to love reading about the making of Beauty and the Beast in future magazines of this. At least I hope they bring it up. And there's another ad for Tailspin. Spin it! I think we've been introduced to Tailspin quite enough. And then here's another ad for SeaWorld. I think we've seen this ad in a previous issue. I think it was like in the very first issue. The very first released issue, not the Fall 1990 Digest. The one that actually says Volume 1, Issue 1. But only at SeaWorld can you talk to Shamu the killer whale. Only at SeaWorld can you be dragged underwater by Shamu the killer whale as well. And here we go with the Q&A of Bob Saget, America's Funniest Guy. No argument here. What would happen if a guy was a star of not one but two of the most popular shows on television? Oh, he's Regis Philbin. And he'd be so stuck on himself, he'd look like he was made of super glue, right? He'd joke about what he can use super glue for, but again, I'm not going to repeat anything. And he plays a dad on Full House and is the host of America's Funniest Home Videos. Back when they actually had writers from Mystery Science Theater 3000, so it was actually funny. I haven't followed America's Funniest Home Videos in years. I watched most of the Tom Bergeron run and then a little bit of Alfonso Rivero. But I haven't seen anything in quite some time, so I don't even know if he's still the host or not. Or even if the show's still going. I don't know. So they're asking his advice on some really important issues. What are 3 occasions when you shouldn't eat onions? Oh, there's never a time not to eat onions. What's the least useful modern invention? I would say leaf blowers. Or he would say leaf blowers. That reminds me of when I worked for this multimillionaire guy and he had me take a leaf blower, a very high-powered leaf blower. Like, I feel like if I had 2 of them, I would literally blast off into the air. Just one of the leaf blowers just threw me back if it was too close to a wall. And then I lost my leaf-blowing privileges when I accidentally got gravel caught between the slats in his tennis court. So, can't please everybody. You play a clean freak on the show. In real life, are you really a clean freak or are you super messy? I don't know about him being a clean freak, but he definitely has a dirty mouth. Did you ever get picked on by bullies when you were a kid? Of course, what comedian hasn't? How about your childhood? Were you popular? Wasn't that the exact same question as that? I don't know, but he was never a kid who was picked first for the team, neither was I, and he considers himself a geek. What did geek mean in those days? It meant it was a person who didn't fit into the popular cliques and wasn't very good at being cool. Well, nowadays, geek culture is the coolest thing around. And you're lucky that you're not going by the traditional meaning of geek, which were like people who swallowed mice whole and bit the heads off of live animals. Because society will find entertainment in anything. If he was on a desert island and his only food was one kind of sandwich, what kind would he want it to be? An ice cream sandwich. Well, that's not a good idea. It'll melt in like 2 minutes. Also, it has absolutely no nutritional value. Then again, I guess if you're stuck on a desert island with no hope of rescue, hey, why wouldn't you want your last meal to be an ice cream sandwich? Is there anything else you'd like to tell the kids of America? Yes, he would like to go on stage and recite his aristocrats. No. Just a word of advice. If you have young kids, don't let them search for Bob Saget. If you want to keep that squeaky clean image of Bob Saget in your head, then stick to Full House and the old America's Funniest Home Videos, and don't go any further than that. All right, making it with Olympic. Get super prizes, earn extra cash, join our team now. Yes, once upon a time, they had these sales clubs where they'd send this worthless memorabilia to kids. They'd charge them for like every item, and then the kids would have to go off and resell the stuff, and then they'd get points for the stuff that they'd sell. And this was apparently stuff that they could buy with those points. I say supposedly because more often than not, these things turn out to be scams. They just turn out to be major pyramid schemes. But let's see what we could theoretically get if we sold worthless Olympic merchandise. We could get, let's see, graffiti gear. Like, is that a game or is that I don't know, maybe it's like a painting kit or something. Ansco camera outfit. I'm pretty sure kids back then would want that. Acclaimed Nintendo double player. Ooh, a lot of kids would want that. Solar calculator. Tiger game watches. Yeah, I guess kids back then would be into that, but that's not a purchase that would result in long-term satisfaction. Girl Talk Dateline game. I keep seeing those at thrift stores. Wiz personal locker. I guess that could come in some use. Volterra skateboard. I'm sure all the kids will want that. Super Mario Bros. Pinball. I've never been into these portable pinball games. They're all broken and they all look the same. They all have broken gameplay and they break very easily, so I'm not into that sort of thing, even if it is Super Mario Bros. A Franklin spell checker. Oh yeah, we totally need those today. All-Star baseball card collecting kit. Yeah, I guess some kids would want that. Sevillor, I don't know. Snow and surf tube. Yeah, that's tempting. Tasco Microscope Lab, I don't know about that one. Tasco Telescope, yeah, a little bit more use. Lil Fridge Stationery Set, Cell 9, I don't know what to do with that. I guess those are like mini erasers and such. Yeah, I'm passing on that one. Timex Aerobics Watch, yeah, I could see that one being popular. Monarch Fashion Roll Bag, yeah, good for Jim. 2-in-1 fishing outfit, yeah, I don't know about that one. Unisonic see-through phone. Why kids would want their own corded phone, I have no idea. Tiger Bo Jackson football and baseball. Yeah, covering both bases there. Both bases. Beat Sound electronic drum. I see those all the time at thrift stores as well. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Oh yeah, the Tower of Doom board game. Yeah, those are going for some pretty good prices on eBay. I mean, not like the Sky, but if you have a complete set, then you can get like $70 for them nowadays. But even back then, that was probably like a fun game. Unisonic Memory Bank Calculator. Yeah, we totally need those. Old Time Gumball Bank. Yeah, those are fun. Playtime Sound Machine. Oh yeah, we definitely need some of those. I mean, the Talk Boy from Home Alone 2 wasn't out yet, so we needed to get our kicks with this. GE Telephone Clock Radio. Again, very tempting, but I don't know if parents would allow their kids to have something like that. And yeah, Nintendo Action Game System. Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if it comes with everything pictured. And yeah, you'll notice that they call it an action game system, because back then calling something like a game console or a video game console, that actually hurts the chances of being sold, because after the video game crash in 1983, a lot of people thought that video game systems were poisonous, were marketplace poison. In fact, they intentionally had to design the entertainment system to look like a VCR so that people would actually think of videos in video games. They had to emphasize the video portion. And yeah, that was basically the case until around the Super Nintendo era, and suddenly video games became cool again. Coke phone, yeah, that looks fun. GE Action, AM/FM stereo cassette, I bet those were big back then. Nintendo game cartridges, oh yeah, absolutely those. I don't know about the Jordan versus Bird there, but yeah, Double Dragon, if they gave you the cartridges in the boxes, then yeah, you have no idea how valuable those will become in a couple decades. Wilson Michael Jordan basketball. Oh, is it actually signed by Michael Jordan? I would absolutely want one of those. I mean, I don't care for sports, but who knows who knows how much those will go on eBay. Nintendo Game Boy, absolutely. I would definitely sell stuff for that. GE walkie-talkie set, yeah, classic. Swiss Army knife, yeah, always a classic, always handy. Rose Art Deluxe Art Caddy, yeah, I can see kids being into that one. Nico Turbo Warrior RC car. Well, as long as it has an actual RC and it's not like the controller is connected to the car with a cord, because I hate those. I got one for my birthday one time. I think I destroyed it within a week because it just wouldn't cooperate. Timex calculator alarm watch. Oh yeah, a lot of people. Ooh, I could see a lot of kids going for that back in the day. Glass bow archery set. Sell 9 items. Yeah, that would be fun, I guess. Wilson Arian soccer ball. Yeah, I could see that. Mountain sports bike. Oh, yeah. Kids of the 90s would be climbing over themselves for one of those. I know that. GE Music Make compact stereo system. Yeah, again. Ooh, yeah, look at how big that is. That is an amazing stereo system there. I wonder if it does, tape copying, because back in Europe during the video game crash, they didn't really have video game consoles. At least they didn't put their emphasis on video game consoles. No, most kids just had video games on computers, so things like the Amstrad and the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64. Those were the hot items, and all their games arrived, well, most games arrived on cassettes, and that made video game piracy very easy, because they just had to take one cassette and copy it over to another cassette and then give it to their friends. So I'm wondering if this is one of those things that could do that, and if so, then the UK would be climbing over itself to get one of those. Casio mini keyboard, yep, those are always classic. I think I had one of those when I was a little kid. I remember this weird demo that went with it. It was like do 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 ba 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 bum ba 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 bum bum ba 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 ba. That's all I remember. I probably don't even remember that. Tasco Junior Scientist Kit? Yeah. CBS CDs and cassettes. I thought for a second they misspelled CDs there, but no, they're CDs and cassettes from CBS. Can we make out what they say? Lisa, oh yeah, they're gonna go places. Gloria Estefan, oh yeah, she's gonna be around forever. And Living Color, oh yeah, they're gonna be known for more than one song. Yeah, so sign up for a service and get a bunch of one-hit wonders. The Aqua Tank, I could see people wanting that. Digital Clock, yeah, pretty novel for the time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Sleeping Bag, oh yeah, I could... man, if I was a little kid, I would kill for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bag. Is that it? Yeah, so make more with Olympic, $2 cash profit on every item, or great prizes that are easier to get. So call that number. Actually, don't call their number. They're probably long out of business. In fact, I don't even know if I should be showing this number. I might have to edit it out if it becomes a problem. But yeah, those are all prizes that you could theoretically get from one of these services. I don't know, did any of these services ever pay out? Did anyone ever get anything from doing these sales? Because from what I understand, most of them were a scam, just a way for companies to dump all their cheap merchandise on naive kids and just have the kids try to sell the stuff. And when they finally racked up enough points for something, if they racked up enough points for something, then the pyramid schemers skipped town. So I don't know. I am curious if anyone has ever done one of these sales programs and they paid out. Please let me know. Actually, even if they didn't pay out, please let me know. That sounds like a fascinating story. Hey, it's art! Well, art is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, this is what they were talking about on the intro page. This is a bunch of kids, and they painted chairs, and they sold chairs. This is all stuff they've done for charity, so just 30 hours a week after school, these kids in New Orleans, they take these chairs and they paint them however they want. They can paint the minimalist, they can paint cartoons. One of these artists can paint complete stories on them. So yeah, they get to be creative, and it's for a good cause, so what is there to complain about? So I did look these artists up, and unfortunately I couldn't find anything on most of them. However, Lionel Milton there, at least I'm assuming that's him right there, he is still around and he's still doing art. He does mostly cultural art, mostly spray paint wall art, so good for him. And then Carlos Neville, he's also around. He mostly does minimalist stuff. He focuses on shapes and colors to convey image and message. And yeah, they're both around. They're both still in the New Orleans area, and they said they do exhibitions, they sell art, they sell NFTs. Boo. So, hey, if you're into that kind of art, then go ahead and check it out. And there's also Daryl White here, who might be the kid of Barry White. I could not confirm. I don't know. Probably a completely different Daryl White. And here's an ad for the graphic novel of White Fang, starring Ethan Hawke. Yeah, we read about the movie in the previous issue of this magazine. So if you want to read a graphic novel of White Fang, then, well, it's available. And here we go! Ticket to the movies! Christina Ricci is just 10 years old, but she already has a big part in the new movie Mermaids. Yes, that's where it's her very first film role, in Mermaids, with Sharon Winona Ryder. I think we already read about that movie being made in a previous issue. And then she went on to the Michael J. Fox movie The Hard Way, I'm sorry. And she's mostly known today for playing Wednesday Addams in the first two live-action Addams Family movies, and she was in Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, and she was in that cult animated furry film, Alpha and Omega, and today she is a teacher on the Netflix series Wednesday. Yes, that Netflix original series that's basically a reboot of the Addams Family that follows the titular Wednesday Addams, so yeah, perfect. Oh, and she's also on Yellow Jackets, that show about these ball players who get lost in the forest and then they reflect on it when they're adults, and I think she's one of the adults. If the boy who plays Rocky's son in the current Rocky V looks familiar, that's because he's Sage Stallone, the son of the real-life Rocky. Yep, that was his first acting role. Rocky V is not a movie you want to start your acting career with, so I'm sorry, but I'm even more sorry that he died. Yeah, in 2012 he died, so sorry about that. Remember Look Who's Talking? I try not to. Those are some of the worst comedies I think I've ever seen. Yeah, and so we have Look Who's Talking and then Look Who's Talking 2. Both movies I want to stay away from, but both of them aren't nearly as bad as Look Who's Talking Now, so there's that. And then Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Yes, it's that early 90s movie with Kevin Costner as an upcoming Robin Hood, how he became Robin Hood. I haven't actually seen it, but it's one of those cult classics. It's one of those movies that got a lot of attention back then was mocked, and now is kind of coming back. It's just one of those romantic classics, I guess, and everybody remembers the movie for the Bryan Adams song. Everything I do it for you. And everybody probably only remembers the Bryan Adams song because, well, Bryan Adams has lately come out as one of the most detestable human beings you can ever meet, but I digress. Then we got The Adventurous Mice, Bianca and Bernard in The Rescuers Down Under, a sequel to The Rescuers. That came out like months before this issue, and that's all the promotion they're given. That just goes to show how much faith the studio had in that movie at the time. Apparently, it didn't open strongly. It was released on the same weekend as Home Alone, and Disney pulled it after only a few weeks and then basically buried it. Which is a shame because it's actually a really good movie, really good animation, really good. It was one of the first digitally animated movies and one of the first to incorporate digital models along with the animated characters. Also, it had a much more exciting story, much more exciting characters, much funnier than the first. I really don't like the first Rescuers. I'm sorry. My mom and several other family members absolutely love it. I have never liked it. But Rescuers Down Under, yeah, that's a lot of fun. A little bit of trivia, they did want to get the original guy who did the voice of Orville from the original Rescuers, but he died right before they could get him to voice the character, so they got John Candy instead, which, you know, sucks to be the guy who did the original voice, but yeah, getting John Candy was a huge plus for them. And then Fievel will be back in the sequel to An American Tail, or simply known as An American Tail 2 here, but what would one day be known as Fievel Goes West. And, yeah, a bit of confession here. I've always liked Fievel Goes West more than the original American Tail. I don't know. I think it's always been more colorful, more funny. I think the animation is a lot better, or at least fits the tone more in the second one than the first one, because yeah, admission time, I've never really been that big on Don Bluth's animation. I mean, it's great. It's great. It's definitely its own unique style. It definitely sets itself apart from the Disney stuff that Don Bluth used to work on, and especially around the time that Disney was still doing animated movies. It's just a much darker, uglier style of animation to give a much more gritty, realistic look of certain locations, which, you know, when it's trying to be dark and gritty and realistic and a little bit horrifying, it works great. When it's trying to be charming and bouncy and colorful, and it just looks awkward. Like, it comes nowhere near the Disney quality of charm and color and such. It just kind of looks choppy when they try to do something cheerful. It just, ugh. But unfortunately, a lot of his movies did have to incorporate these scenes because otherwise the studios wouldn't market them. Which, yeah, Don Bluth wanted to make a lot of his movies a lot darker. Like, I think that at one point, the dinos in the original Land Before Time, they were all supposed to die, and the Great Valley was supposed to be heaven. But the studio didn't like that, so yeah, they forced him to add a lot more bright and colorful and funny scenes into his movies. And they just clash so horribly with the animation and the tone, and yeah. But yeah, I know that Fievel Goes West isn't as beloved as the original American Tail, but I still enjoy it. I mean, the villain's voiced by John Cleese. That's more than enough reason to watch it. And, you know, let's be fair, it's not American Tail 3 or 4. Thank the powers that be. And now in music, we have the singing group The Boys, who... yeah, I've never heard of this musical group, but apparently they were this semi-famous R&B group made out of young men, and they did some albums, and they actually did have a TV show. Well, they had a TV pilot for what was supposed to be an ongoing TV show where they played orphans and they sang and danced and all that sort of stuff, but it never got past the pilot, which you can watch on YouTube, unlike that Whip Valentine pilot that they mentioned in a previous issue. The Boys pilot is available on YouTube, and that's basically all I could find about them, because most of everything I looked up just led me to the much more popular comic series and Amazon series of the same name. But from what I understand, they released like 2 or 3 studio albums, and most of their later work tanked, and they got dropped like a brick. But then they reunited a few years later as Sons of Light, spelled S-U-N-S, and they've been on tour since then, so hey, good for them. And then Paula Abdul is releasing a follow-up to her smash album Forever Your Girl, and that album would later be revealed as Spellbound, which would also be released to critical and commercial success, and then she'd release her third album, Head Over Heels, which was received with a response, and that's pretty much all the recording she's done, all the original studio recording she's done, before she was chosen as a judge for American Idol. And nowadays I have no idea what she's doing. And then Paula's new album is on the way, and she might be making a musical movie this year. That did not happen. She didn't make her film debut until 1997 when she was in the TV movie Touched by Evil, where she was a woman who was raped, and then she starts dating a serial rapist. Charming. But she did do the choreography for the Doors biopic with Val Kilmer, so I guess she technically did make a musical movie, so good for her. Michael Bevins of New Edition has put together another group of young singers. They're called Another Bad Creation. And they were. They most definitely were. Yeah, they were basically this little singing group, and I mean little. The members were like 8, 10 years old, and they were just made to cash in on the huge Motown young singers craze that was going around in the early 90s. Like with the boys there. And yeah, they were kind of made as a parody of those kinds of groups. They were singing like soul and R&B and rap, but they were singing it like they were kids. They were singing it from the view of kids, and it was just awkward. I mean, their most popular song, Aviation, is about how they were romancing a young girl on the playground. And it just gets icky. But yeah, they released like 2 albums, and they were promoted to heck and back, and they were on In Living Color for a little bit, and they had a small appearance in the forgotten superhero movie Meteor Man, which, yeah, not a good career move there either. And their future releases tanked, and they were dropped like a brick, and I don't know where any of the members are today. And probably the only thing anyone remembers about them today is Criss Cross dissing them in their song Jump. Don't try to compare us to another bad little fad. That was them calling out Another Bad Creation, so yeah, that's their claim to fame. And then the American Music Awards was broadcast in January of 1991, and then they were talking about new kids, Randy Travis, Paula Abdul, and Janet Jackson. Will Janet Jackson win any more awards? Will she speak above a whisper? Yes, she did. She walked away with like 3 or 4 awards that season, but so did Belle Biv DeVoe, MC Hammer, and Vanilla Ice, so yeah, it wasn't a good year for the American Music Awards. And then Jonathan Hallyarcher moved to Los Angeles to join the cast of Who's the Boss, and he would stay on the show for most of the rest of the series. And from what I understand, he didn't really do much after leaving Who's the Boss. His biggest role was on like this independent movie called American Bully, and that's all I know. That's literally all I know. And then the Wonder Years, his mother is working at his school. I think that was also one of the plot points in the long-forgotten Disney cartoon Teacher's Pet, which, does anyone remember that one? I don't. I never watched it. It never appealed to me. But apparently it was popular enough to get a movie, so, even though it tanked. And then they aired a show called Blossom, and it's coming back mid-season as a regular series. And yeah, it went for like 5 or 6 seasons, something like that. And then the star, Mayim Bialik, she went on to the Big Bang Theory. And then she's also the on-again, off-again voice actor, like she did the talking dog in that one episode of Star vs. the Force of Evil. So, hey, good for her. And then the book Sarah Plain and Tall won a Newbery Medal for children's books. Now the book is a TV movie. Yes, it is, starring Christopher Walken and Glenn Close. And from what I understand, it's pretty good, but I'm probably never going to check it out. And then Peter Pan has been flying out of video stores lately. Well, of course, it's like one of the first time, I think it's the first time that it's been released on video. And yeah, if you haven't seen Peter Pan, then it's one of the definitive Peter Pan movies. And speaking of definitive Peter Pan movies, there's the stage musical with Mary Martin, the famous filmed version from the 1950s, which, from what I understand, they did another live version of recently with Christopher Walken as Captain Hook. That's literally all I remember. And then the 3 Star Wars movies are out on video too, all at the same time. And if you find any of those videos, then yeah, snatch them up, because those are collector's items. I don't know, they've been altering the original Star Wars movies so much that it's almost impossible to find the original versions of the Star Wars movies. So yeah, if you can find the original VHSs or DVDs of the Star Wars movies, then yeah, find them, buy them, and hold them dear, because that's probably the only time you're ever going to get to see the original things of Star Wars. The ones that George Lucas has decided that nobody wants to see because he's so obsessed with constantly re-editing them over and over again. And then Disney took them from him, and now they're obsessed with re-editing them over and over again. So, look, if you find the original Star Wars, then keep them and don't let them out of your sight. That's all I'm saying. And here's another ad for Little Nemo Dream Master, the game based on the movie that nobody saw. Man, if only the movie got this type of advertising, maybe it wouldn't have tanked so hard. Probably still would have tanked, but not as hard. And here we go with our first comic. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Knowledge is Power. An extraordinary mystery often begins with an ordinary event. Somebody being bitten by a spider, or struck by lightning, or being hit by gamma radiation, for example, but that's another story. Mailmen making the rounds through the city park. There must be some mistake, Tom. A package addressed to the largest oak tree in City Park? Just plunk her down and don't you worry, son. That oak tree's one of the best customers on my route. Those look like very realistically drawn humans for this world. I don't know. I don't remember if the humans in Chip and Dale were drawn to be realistic or cartoonish, but that looks like they're from a completely different cartoon. I don't know. Maybe they're like a tribute to someone. Maybe somebody drew some caricatures of popular animators or something for these characters. They're supposed to be like a cameo. I have no idea. Imagine the pickle we'd find ourselves in if somebody sent this package postage due. After all, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, then they just take it back to the office and put it with the dead mail, from what I understand. And then probably somebody would come along and buy a whole pallet of dead mail and sell it on eBay. And then Dale is looking at everything. Heads up, Rangers! Mail's here! My Schweizstein Swiss, at last! Brace yourself, lad! Incoming ton of bricks at 12 o'clock! Ah, Monterey, it can't be that heavy. Swiss cheese is nothing but holes. Whomp. Oh, I take it back. Huh, must be one of those hard cheeses. But that package packs one heck of a delivery! And, I've never seen this character. I don't know what he sounds like, so, Gadget, what a lovely green dress. Barnaby Bookworm! He mailed himself here? It was that, or risk not finding you. Pull him inside before he hurts himself. I don't know, I'm trying to go for the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, also the voice of Smee from Peter Pan, and that park ranger from the Humphrey the Bear cartoons, if anyone remembers that. I don't think I'm doing a good job, though. I've come all this way to say goodbye. I fired myself as the guardian of the library. What? These eagle eyes aren't what they used to be. Somebody's stealing books right under my nose. Dear chap, you can't leave your post. What's a library without its bookworm? The stolen books! Were they valuable? That's what's so puzzling. Thieves steal rare books, not worn-out manuals nobody else wants. Well, in that case, I don't see why you're beating yourself up. If they're stealing books that nobody wants and leaving the rare books where they are, then I think you're doing your job quite well, I think. Fixing antique stoves, a mechanic's guide to the national parks. What kind of guardian am I if I can't keep those books safe and sound? Don't quit just 'cause some rotten eggs out there stealing junk nobody else cares about. Wow, Dale's a voice of reason in this comic. That's sad. Dale's right! Who would steal dumb old fix-it books? Sounds like a mystery to me. There's a pattern. All the stolen books have to do with fixing old mechanical stuff. If somebody's masterminding this, we have to check the library for clues. No, I'll never go back there. Not with prowlers on the loose. It's too dangerous. Dear Gadget never could take no for an answer. Look, in the library! The thief! He's back! And he's got another book! Somebody's got to teach that bloke stealing ain't good manners! Come on, Bartleby! We'll book this baddie and get your old job back! Before tea time! Guaranteed! Ugh. It really hurts my voice switching between those voices all at once. The bloke means business! Humph! This is one enterprise we're cutting short, for Bartleby's sake! Wait a minute, where did those books come from? They were on the fire escape, and then they came in through the roof? I don't know, where are they right now? So did these fall off the shelves, or was the thief carrying them, or are they on a desk right now? I can't tell, and I guess I don't care. Gadget, wait! That's the sorting room! We can't go in there! It's too dangerous! Your choice, mate! We could give up or get back your stolen books! Stop! Thief! Okay, lady, you asked for it. I'm guessing that's Fat Cat, so... I'm stopped! You rangers go on without me! Your comeuppance is long overdue! Eek! Gadget, come back! Blimey, where'd everybody run off to? Hold on now, and I'll have a look. And he's dead. He gets run over by the wheel, and... Well, he was right in the path of the wheel. How did it... Whatever. Yo! Rangers aren't the only disappearing acts playing this club. Barnaby, duck! Probably gave you two different voices there. And here's a page reminding you to subscribe to Disney Adventures. We've seen it all before. So, back to the story. Goodness no, Monterey. I am a bookworm, not a duck. Whatever gave you that idea? But it's an easy mistake, Worm, cause the big boss is about to cook your goose. A short time later, in the library basement. Ow, where are we? Shh, look! Monkey big ears, long tail, Monterey? No, dear Bookworm, you've bumbled your way in a much finer company, the creme de la creme of crime. Call me Fat Cat. I could call you a lot of things, but Fat Cat isn't one of them. Just because I don't want to call you by your real name. Rather call you something else. Barnaby, you're the first librarian who's ever measured up to my exacting standards. What do you want? I'm gonna make a withdrawal from your fine collection. Trouble is, the book I want has been stored in a very awkward place. That skinny little crevice between that wall and the incinerator, out of my rotund reach. Unless you want to turn into one fricasseed bookmark of a bookworm, get that book now! Eep! I hope I'm doing the voice of Fat Cat okay. Laddie, there's no way down at the ascend. We're not letting Fat Cat waltz out with that book! Gadget, grab a pencil! Well done, Worm. Now hand it over. And yeah, a half-ounce worm is able to haul around a 5-pound book. Yeah, because that's how that works. Well, I guess it works with this universe's logic. Barnaby, grab on! And they grab the worm, but they miss. Nope, they don't even grab the worm. They lose the book and the worm. What a fine idea! Now we got the map and both of you! Map? What map? And now to get rid of them. Clever design! As the water evaporates, the sponge will get lighter and lower us into the incinerator. Sound engineering, but hard to appreciate at the end of this rope. So they set all this up. They had all this time to set this little death trap up, and the other rangers just sat there and watched? What? Hurry! That sponge is lowering us fast! Chip! Dale! Help us! Hang on, Gadget! We're here! Just in time! So it just took them that long to find a library cart, huh? Yeah, you can never find anything at a library. No wonder nobody wants to go to a library nowadays, except to read their email. But boss, the other rangers are still loose. What if they interrupt your bookworm barbecue? It won't matter. With this book, my map of the old city subways is complete, laying the foundation for Fat Cat's underground kingdom of crime. A week later. Fine Persian carpeting, a ton of golden cashmere yarn. Sounds like Fat Cat loot to me. He's got to be masterminding this rash of thefts. Your rash has blossomed into an epidemic, Chip. A display of mining machinery just vanished from the museum without a trace. Fat Cat's got to be keeping this stuff somewhere. All we have to do is find it. If anyone on the streets heard a whisper of a clue, Monterey and Dale will ferret him out. Well, what if there's a ferret? You think you can trust a ferret? I don't know. In a dark and dangerous section of town. Cheer up, laddie. Evil stinks. Sooner or later, we'll sniff Fat Cat out of hiding. Look out! Monterey! Oh, Pongo's fallen on hard times. Well, it's a spotted dodger. Not to worry, I've known this earful since he was a pup. Ow! With introductions out of the way, ain't just art that's disappeared, Jack. City's clean as a whistle. Nobody's seen a sewer rat or a mouse for days. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Oh, no, wait, we're supposed to see that as a bad thing from the mice perspective. Thanks, Dodger. Put the word out if you hear any noise on the street. Also, if you find some cheese. But beady eyes watch from a nearby alley. Books, maps, and disappearing rats. Just what we don't need. More mystery. Come on, mates. And there's the evil up-to-no-good cat who's sneaking through the subway, through the sewers, and going to the subway. He opens a grate. Oh, great. Hunt all you like, rescue rangers. Scour the city above. You'll never find me, or my stolen treasure, or my new empire. With those workers tunneling day and night, my underground empire will soon cover the world. Well, how do you expect to tunnel underwater? Or actually, even out of New York? I mean, I don't know. I think you're going to run into problems with the actual sewer system. And, you know, if you build too many tunnels, you're going to bring the entire city above down on you. I think that happened to Paris one time. I think, like, the catacomb system of Paris became so big and so hollow that the city above was threatening to collapse into the sewers. So I don't know, they had to like stop digging under there and put up a lot, and I mean a lot of supporting beams in order to stop that from happening. At least that's what I've heard. And yep, all the mice and the rats are in slavery, but yeah, at least they're working for their food. You know, unlike the actual dirty rats that you see running around. Rats! Mice! Rat cats turned the last page on my career. We'll never find those missing books. That's it! What's missing? Books with map covers, artwork, mining equipment. Rats, mining equipment, they're both found underground. But where do Barnaby's books and maps fit in? Didn't she just answer that? Whatever. Fat Cat needs them to move around the old subway, and with this gramophone, we can follow any vibrations we hear on the subway tracks straight back to Fat Cat. Because, you know, nobody else uses the subway in... What is this? Is this New York? Is this supposed to be New York? I don't know what city this is supposed to be in. You're going to find some subway train somewhere, so I don't know how useful that gramophone's going to be. But of course, it's going to lead them exactly where they need to go because, you know, Saturday morning cartoon. At the abandoned subway entrance, the rescue rangers launch into action. It took me a long time to realize those are stairs. I was going, wait, what's making them bounce? What kind of engine is making them bounce that skateboard around? But no, those are stairs. They're leading down to the subway or train station or something like that. So, you know, well done conveying that artistically. Wait, I hear something! A rumble on the tracks! It's getting louder and closer! Run! Well, what did you expect parking on the subway tracks like that? Whatever. Continued on page 53, so yeah, we'll be right back. Because now we get to take a break and look at some unsolved mysteries, the most puzzling places around the world. There are places you go for fun and places you go for adventure, but we've discovered that there are places you go to wonder. You know, like Starbucks and how they can justify charging $7 for an average cup of coffee. But yeah, these are places around the world that the world has deemed mysterious. You know, like the ancient people of Stonehenge, and the stones that were arranged in the shape of a horseshoe and circle. Well, which one is it, a horseshoe or a circle? What's really strange is that some of the rocks are so heavy that not even an army of Rambos could have lifted them into place. Well, you're just assuming that there were only a couple druids and that they had absolutely no concept of machinery. You know, they had no concept of building a ramp and maybe getting some ropes and pulling their stones up the ramps. You know, like the people who claim that the pyramids were built by aliens because, you know, ancient man was just too stupid to understand the concepts of ramps and pulleys and levers and blueprints and that sort of stuff because, as we all know, machines were invented in the late 1800s by a man named Man Sheen, who, after having lost all his teeth, took some stone, cut them in a circle, cut some teeth-looking things into that circle, but instead of chiseling them off the circle, he put two of them together and went, whoa, they moved. And the rest is history. Drunk history, but still better than a lot of the conspiracy theories people come up with. And then there are the lines of Nazca, these secret runways in the middle of South American deserts. So yeah, they're big old pictures, like miles and miles long. They were probably put there by some native tribe to give tribute to their gods. But oh, how could they build them? How could they design them? No, they didn't have hot air balloons. They couldn't look at them from the sky. You know, it's not like they could just graph them on little pieces of paper and then scale them up. You know, just say, okay, this little section here, okay, this has to be about 3 feet wide or 3 arms wide, or, you know, whatever they used to measure back then. But no, these had to be invented by aliens because Native Americans just couldn't comprehend complex art projects. Why can't they be like modern man, you know, like the off-roaders that like to drive through these deserts and destroy priceless history? But in return, we'll just build our own lines and, you know, in about 1,000 years, they'll become history. You know, it's like baking another cake to replace the one that you dropped on the floor. It's just that easy to replace. Anyway, and then we have the cave paintings of Tassili, which were discovered in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and they have, weird images, you know, great big creatures and weird-looking animals, and, an astronaut. These were clearly put here by aliens. Were hallucinogens not a thing until like 200 years ago? Did nobody in the middle of the Sahara Desert get high on whatever there is in the Sahara Desert to get high on and just go, oh, I can see the cosmos, man. Oh, your proportions are just so wild, and oh, I gotta sketch this. Whoa, I'm on some heavy stuff, dude. I mean, when someone puts something weird like that in an animated film, then everyone has to say, oh, the filmmakers were on drugs. But if they find something ancient that also contains those symbols, oh, well, that's just some clue as to our alien heritage, you know? And then we have the Sacred Rocks in Utah's Monument Valley. And, there's been a lot of wind and rain erosion. And the Pueblo Indians used to live here, but then they all poofed away. But oh, what if they're hiding in the rocks? What if the rocks that kind of look like people's faces are actually the Indians? The Indians got sucked into the rocks. Ooh, that's a theory. Yeah, here's another theory. How about they all packed up and left and looked for somewhere better to live, and the rocks just, nature had their way with them. And then, of course, there's the Sphinx. I don't understand. I think the Sphinx, to me, is just the most desperate to get a conspiracy theory out of. I mean, what? Some pharaoh didn't just want to see a big human head on a lion and commissioned a bunch of architects to just go build him a human head on top of a lion? Like, why do we need to assume that there are miles and miles and miles of tunnels inside? Like, there's at least one tunnel in there. I know that. Maybe it was to get the hard-to-reach places during the sculpting. Who knows? Or maybe it was, built there later to provide a hiding place for royalty or something. That's basically all the conspiracy, all the mystery you can get out of this. Because otherwise, somebody just wanted to build a weird statue. What, they didn't have hallucinogens in Egypt? Tarantulas! Yep, the big honkin' hairy spiders that Indiana Jones had to shake off his friend in that movie. Now, I don't like spiders. I don't have severe arachnophobia, but yeah, I see a big honkin' spider and I just freak out. But tarantulas never really gave me that same feeling. I don't know. Maybe if I ever see a big foot-long tarantula just scuttling towards me, then yeah, maybe that'll trigger something. But just seeing them behind glass or something, it doesn't give me the same feeling as a tiny brown recluse or black widow or even one of the larger, whatever larger spiders this size are called. And I've also heard that tarantulas are delicious. Some places eat them, so I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll have to go to one of these places and eat them. Hey, it's a life goal. And also, technically, the tarantulas aren't as dangerous as the ants that eat tarantulas. You go to a tropical rainforest, and the tigers and the panthers and the bugs, the big bugs, they're not the most dangerous things. No. The ants will literally eat you alive. I remember reading multiple stories, multiple accounts about herds of millions and millions of ants just rampaging through forests and across farmyards and just eating every single thing in their path. Completely unstoppable, even though people have tried. So yeah, if you're stupid, then run away from the tarantulas. But if you're even more stupid, then don't go anywhere when somebody starts playing "The Ants Go Marching One by One, Hurrah, Hurrah." And here's a kid's account of clouds. They're talking about the three types of clouds. They have the cirrus clouds and the cumulus clouds and the stratus clouds, and the storm clouds are called cumulonimbus. Oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't fit my lips. But yeah, so if you see certain clouds, then it looks like it's a bright sunshiny day, and if you see some other clouds, then run inside. There's probably a twister coming. And more stuff. Oh, they named a cat Nimbus, and now I just think that they ride the cat everywhere like Goku does on his Nimbus cloud. Ba-dum-bum. And here's some old facts from the True Life Adventures, rock art. We got the giant spectacles in Arches National Monument, and then, of course, the Devil's Tower in Wyoming. Anyone who's seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind is quite familiar with this monument. And then we have this giant gaping alligator's head in the Sierra Juarez near Ensenada, Mexico. I'm sure I said that wrong. And I was actually curious about this one, so I looked it up. I didn't see any information on it. I did not see any proof that there's a giant alligator stonehead, which is a shame because that's the one I was most interested in. So I don't know. Maybe it was demolished since 1966. Or maybe it's just pulling a Ripley's Believe It or Not and just sprouting a rumor even though they have absolutely no proof to back it up. Because, hey, nobody cares about facts. They just want to be entertained. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching my show now, would you? And here's the Game Boy version of the classic DuckTales game, which from what I understand is basically the exact same as the NES. It's just smaller with fewer enemies, smaller screen space, so I don't know, I guess it's easier to get lost in this than it is the NES game, but otherwise it's basically the same. And here we are back with the comic, where our dumbheads, our heroes, have successfully managed to escape an incoming subway car. And if they're smart, they'll give up this chase and go to Subway. But yeah, their gramophone gets destroyed. Did you see that? A plane nearly hit us. Close! It was a subway car! Great! The gramophone smashed! Now how will we find Fat Cat? Well, how were you going to find Fat Cat with the gramophone anyway? Okay, I already beat that into the ground. There's thousands of miles of tunnels down here! Shh! Listen! I'd recognize that evil chuckle anywhere. Oh, whoop-de-doo, what a coinkydink. Fat Cat! This way! Hurry! Guys, wait for me! I don't want to be left out when the action starts! So they just left Dale trapped underneath a gramophone horn as they go rush off to find the source of a noise. Wow, showing about as much team loyalty as that one episode of Teen Titans. You know, the one where Beast Boy turns into actual beast and everybody tries to kill him. Like, they don't even try to cure him, they just try to kill him. You know, because that's what teams are there for. So that's what happened to all the rats and mice. We got a work cut out for us, stopping Fat Cat and setting them free. And there's Fat Cat right there. Just wanted to point that out because he's so small, it kind of looks like a Where's Waldo. So Dale got himself free, no thanks to the other rescue rangers. Rangers to the rescue! Librarians too! Hang on, mate. We'll have you out of there in 2 shakes of a wombat's tail. And the mice couldn't do that themselves because... What is the scale here? So the 2 chipmunks are like 1/3 of the size of a big cat. Yeah, I believe that. Of course, we've had scale issues all throughout these comics, so what do I know? Right on target! And they dumped a whole bunch of coal on that cat, so, yeah, he's dead. Uh-oh, hold the party wait a minute. Well, that's clearly coming from Chip, but they misdirected the word balloon point, so it's coming from Dale, so Dale is telling himself, uh-oh, hold the party, Dale. Yeah, that's probably the biggest artistic mess-up that we've seen in one of these comics so far. So I gotta give them credit, that it took them this long to mess something up like that. I thought I'd checked you meddlesome rangers at the library. Throw the book at them, boys. Yo! Head for that subway car! Do your rangers always face this much excitement? Nah, some days are even more fun. You should check out my fondue baths on Tuesdays. Flex a muscle, Zipper! We gotta release this brake! Hurry, they're right behind you! Fat Cat, they're getting away! I don't remember what voice I gave this guy. Nonsense, where can they go? The other car! Quick, we'll catch them, or force a crash! So they get in the other subway car and gain towards them, which, can one subway car go faster than another? I thought it was all just a matter of inertia. I didn't know there was an actual speed thing, speed adjustment for subways. Yeah, what do I know? They're gaining, Chip! Can't this thing go any faster? No, but maybe we can slow them down! Toss away! It's raining my ill-gotten gains! No! Chip and Dale, smashing priceless artifacts. Oh, wasn't that why they were here to save the treasures? I don't know, but they're destroying them. Rescue Rangers! Siegfried, I remember that exit. There's a fork in the tracks there. We've got to switch. But it says Springfield, mate. All looks the same through these old eyes. It's still the end of the line, so don't miss. Lend a hand, mates, and hang on tight. Wham! So they changed the track directions. Now get ready to jump! Jump? I thought this side was safe. Nope, just a better place to crash. Bullseye! Whoever said that. And they're about to crash into the barrier there. At least I think they are, or did they jump? I don't know. Slow us down, gentlemen. The rescue rangers just outsmarted themselves. Permanently! Oh, and now they jump. Here's our landing pad! Hop aboard, mates! And the subway car smashes into a water main. Hooray! The rescue rangers have destroyed all the priceless artifacts, have destroyed the city's main water supply, have flooded the subway tunnels, and have probably killed all the mice and rats and cats and whatever was down there that they were trying to save. Our heroes! Water? What the? Direct hit on the main pumping plant. Every cat for himself! Oh, wowee! Let's do it again! Now that was an e-ticket ride! And all the water has backed up the sewage systems and is probably flooding the city. Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers, sing it with me! Chip and Dale! Heads up! We've been followed! You miserable do-gooders! I'll get you for this! Well, now with that crushed spine you obviously now have from a 50-pound manhole cover slamming down on a 15-pound cat. Look! The library's map! Oh yeah, that was really worth destroying all those treasures for, that map that was already used. And my books! Oh yeah, I'm sure they're in great condition after getting washed through the sewers like that. Time to go home, my paper friends! We're long overdue at the library! Blimey, the cat's not just out of the bag, he's gone! Yeah, gone to kitty heaven if that last panel was any indication. Don't worry, this librarian will make sure Fat Cat never gets his claws on a book again! Right, unless he checks it out the right way. And they all glare at Dale like he said something stupid, even though, no, he has a point. What's to stop him from just getting a library card and checking everything out that way? In fact, why didn't you just do that in the first place and avoid being seen as suspicious? Whatever. I'm sorry, this was one of the stupider comics I had to get through. And here's the main feature of this magazine, Hollywood's Daring Stunt World. All the guys that they hire to do all the dangerous stuff in movies because Tom Cruise spent $50,000 perfecting his face, and if there's one tiny scratch on it, well, his career is over. But yeah, in the beginning, stars did their own stunts. They, mostly silent film stars, did a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of the jumping and falling and getting hurt and all that sort of stuff. And then studios realized that their big stars are getting maimed and they spent a lot of money on their contracts. So they decided to hire stuntmen so they can let people who actually want to get hurt get hurt and get paid for it, theoretically. But yeah, in all seriousness, I am glad that stunt people do exist in the industry and that they have come up with so many methods to pull off stunts and yet still be safe most of the time. Like what they say right here, the pass, blow, punch, so that actors aren't actually hitting each other, they're just making it look like they are, and very, very convincingly even. In fact, from what I understand, that's why a lot of martial arts fighters have long hair, because when they're faking being hit by a punch or kick, then their long hair actually adds to the illusion of getting hit. Which is ingenious if you ask me. And also Lou Costello started out as a stuntman for Dolores Del Rio. I don't really know who that is, but that's just silly. It kind of reminds me of that one episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer where Buffy is fighting an insane lunch lady, but every time she hits her, there's a brief shot, and it's not the lunch lady who's getting hit. It's like this super thin, super tall, super muscular stuntman. Like, he looks absolutely nothing like the lunch lady. They just very quickly dressed him up in the same garb and just let him take all the punches and kicks, even though it is super obvious it's not the same person. But yeah, to their credit, they're like split-second scenes, so you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it. Which I do. So stunt people are paid based on the difficulty of their stunts and the risk of injury, and I'd love to live in the world where they think that that's an actual fact. And if you want to be a stunt person, then go to your local fair and see what stunt work needs to happen. See if you can stay on the mechanical bull for more than 8 seconds. That'll get you a good mark on your resume. And who knows, you might be like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jackie Chan and somehow manage to get your own film career. And here's some behind the scenes, behind the practical effects of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which is one of the movies with the absolute best practical effects. I mean, seriously, they pulled out all the stops for practically every single small effect, every single small model in that movie. So much so it actually scared me as a little kid, and I don't even think I ever saw that movie all the way through. I really should sit down and watch it all the way through. I don't know, I just remember the giant ants and the lawnmower and, well, what they're showing here, where Rick Moranis sweeps up the kids and tries to dump them in the trash can. So it's only a 30-second scene, but they had to go through 5 steps. So they wore safety harnesses while they rode what was supposedly the fibers of the broom. And then there were a whole bunch of foam props that were swept along with them that hopefully didn't hurt them during the sequence. And then there was an 8-foot drop from the broom to the dustpan, but it was just made up to look like that. And then the kids were shot in slow motion, and one of the kids jumped 16 feet. Wow. But thankfully the airbags were all working. And the camera even managed to make it look like they all landed on top of each other when they didn't. So yeah, I really wish they'd put as much effort into practical effects today as they did for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, because, it's CGI for everything nowadays, and it just doesn't look as good. Also, I remember there was like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids exhibit or attraction, I guess is a better word for it, at Disney World last time I went, but from what I understand, they closed it down, so RIP. And here's some more stuff about stunt people. So, the greatest action stunt movie, at the climax of a little-known movie called High Point, stuntman Dar Robinson fell 117 stories from the top of the world's tallest structure, CN Tower in Toronto. Yeah, little-known movie is correct. It was like a Canadian movie made with Christopher Plummer, and it started out as an action comedy, but it had so much production trouble behind the scenes, but just so many people wanting to put their own spin on it, and then it was shelved for financial reasons, and then picked back up like years later, so there's some continuity issues. And then after the first screening did poorly, then they re-edited it to heck, practically removed all the comedy, changed the score, and then released it again, and that did even worse, but that's the only version you can find on video nowadays. And then we have the Ben-Hur race, where the 78 horses careened at a high speed on a track that was the largest single movie set ever built at that time. And yeah, there's always that rumor that stunt people actually died while filming that stunt, but no, that no people were killed during that stunt. Some did come close, though, like the stunt coordinator's own son got launched in the air and almost accidentally trampled by the horses. But no, he only suffered like a bruised jaw, so thank his lucky stars. But hey, the rumor that people got killed during the chariot race just shows how well it was shot and how convincingly everything was laid out. And then Stagecoach, the stunt coordinator, the famous stunt coordinator Yakima Canute, Yakima Canute, one of the, that sounds like a slur, that sounds like a racial slur, that sounds like something an old man would yell while sitting out on his porch and looking at someone whose like parents were Japanese and Canadian and just shouting, "You get off my lawn, you Yakima Canute!" And I hope I didn't just make that a slur by pointing that out. And then safety last, comedian Harold Lloyd climbed to the side of a skyscraper and then nearly fell, hanging from the clock hands, as we see here. And there was no net, no trick photography. Lloyd, and no, that is not true. No, they actually built a set on top of the building that they were filming on. It was like 2 floors high, and then they put a clock there for Harold Lloyd to hang on to, and then like 14 feet below there were mattresses for him to fall on in case he did. So yeah, there was most definitely a net and trick photography utilized. But still, Safety Last is a brilliant movie. It's just, I think a lot of Harold Lloyd's silent films were, I actually did see most of Harold Lloyd's filmography. I got him on DVD one time when I was curious about Safety Last, and somehow Safety Last ended up being the last movie of his that I saw. But I think his slapstick comedies are brilliant. Check them out if you haven't already. I think most of them are public domain and available on YouTube. His talkies, I give or take. I mean, they're not horrible. They're just not really him. He's just a lot more funny when he's doing his slapstick stunts, which I wish we had a good slapstick comedy nowadays and everything wasn't just meta humor. And then the greatest airplane stunt movie is, of course, Tom Cruise's Top Gun. You know, that movie that has the planes and the people playing volleyball and the highway to the danger zone and the take my breath away. And that's literally all I can remember about the movie. Like, I've seen it multiple times. It is one of the most forgettable movies I've ever seen. I'm sorry. Every time I watch it, I just forget that I did. So obviously, I'm not going to go see Maverick, and I don't really see the hype behind that movie, but hey, yeah, like they say, the airplane stunts are awesome. And here's a bunch of the most dangerous stunts anybody ever had to do. So Terry James had to dangle below a moving helicopter 1,000 feet above the ground. And Buddy Joe Hooker says that he had to dive off a 120-foot cliff and land in a thicket of pine trees. Well, I hope he didn't just have the pine trees as cushioning. And unfortunately, they're not telling us what movies these are linked to. I would love to go see these movies and find the stunts that they had to... I don't know, maybe if I look up these guys, then they'll lead me to the movies that these stunts are tied to, but I'm lazy. And then Henry Kingy, he was in a race car driver. He had to crash into another car that smashed into the track wall, and he had to very carefully crash into the race car, or else he would have killed the driver of that race car. So, yeah, you gotta be dangerous, but you gotta be safe about it. And then a stunt woman. Oh, wow, how scandalous. But a stunt woman nearly fell off a cliff when the rope that was attached to her became unhooked, but thankfully they thought ahead and they put on a second rope, so whoop-de-doo. And then we have a list of movies known for their stunts. Towering Inferno, haven't seen. Poseidon Adventure, haven't seen. Earthquake, seen, don't remember. The Great Waldo Pepper, haven't seen. Evel Knievel, haven't seen. Smokey and the Bandit, all-time classic. What's Up, Doc, all-time classic. 1941, Raiders of the Lost Ark, all-time classic, and Hooper, haven't seen. I'm sorry. I need to watch more Burt Reynolds movies, I know. And here's yet another thing about being a stunt person, just some advice from a stunt person. So if you ever want to be a stunt person, then bring your own equipment. You never know when you're going to need it. But also do some extreme, physically demanding sports, and just be prepared for anything. You never know when the director will decide to throw some fire at you. And that might not even be part of the movie. He just needs to let off steam because the lead actress walked off in a huff until they give her a $1 million raise. And here's another ad for those Disney comics, and we've seen that before. And now here's something interesting. So I thought that this was an older comic. I thought this was something from an older Disney magazine or Disney comic book, but I can't find any evidence that it was. So I think it's just made up to look like something from the 60s or 70s. It's made up to look like something from a cop show from around the 60s or 70s. So hey, let's just read through it and see how well it emulates that aesthetic. So let's see, we need something like Dragnetty or Columbo, some kind of orchestral theme to start us off. That's not an actual theme, that's just what I think a theme like that would go for this case. Cabo San Lucas, Baja California Sur, Mexico. Get 'em! And the Miami Vice guy here is about to leap to his death, but the director back here says, "Cut! Okay, Ken, move into the clear. Mahoney, we're ready for the high fall stunt." And he gets his stunt double out. "I'm ready. Ready down below? The airbag's all ready to catch Mahoney. Let her rip." And, well, apparently the airbag is not ready because the fan goes out. Freedom Warrior 5, Scene 4, Take 1, Action. Wait! The fan! One of the fans is shutting down! The airbag's deflating! He'll break his neck! Somebody do something! Woomph! And he broke his neck. Comic over. Help him! Get the paramedics! Is he alright? Didn't someone check the fans? Easy, get his pulse. Check for broken bones. He's okay! What happened? You were lucky. One of the fans conked out, but there was still enough air in the bag to cushion your fall. I don't know what voices give these guys. They're all drawn too realistically to give them any identifiable accents, so I'm sorry if they all sound the same. Okay, so there was an accident on the set. Why bring me all the way from Los Angeles? Because I need a private detective, and people tell me that Jerry Mattson's the best. Well, give him credit. Jerry Mattson does sound like a name an investigator would have for one of these types of shows. I did try to look that name up to see if he was in some other comic run or some other show, but nope, can't find any other comics by that name. I did find some people with that name, and well, they were arrested for crimes that I'm not going to repeat here. Someone left a note for me at the hotel desk 2 hours before the accident. If both of those fans had been shut off instead of just one, it would have cost my top stuntman his life. And the note reads, "Shut down your movie and go home today, or I promise accidents will happen." Now I know this is fiction. A director being concerned about their stunt people surviving. Why don't you go to the police? They'll find this guy for you. The police won't help. They think it's all publicity stunt. And if they shut down production, the studio will be out of fortune. I need you to find out who's behind this and stop him. I'll need to get inside the production. I have a hunch whoever did this is working on the picture. No problem. Jerry, this is Dave Steele. He did it. You don't call somebody Dave Steele and not have them be the villain. Or the hero. This is Dave Steele, the picture's stunt gaffer. You're working for him as a stunt rigger. Sure he is. Dave, show Jerry the setup for the upcoming stunts you're working on. The car, the fire, and down by the cave. And of course, absolutely nothing will happen there. Huh? All right. Well, will do, Mr. Josephs. In this scene, the camera will be in a helicopter. Our job is to make the car look like it's out of control. It's got to move fast, swerve all over the road, and almost go over the cliff. How do you keep it safe? First, we double-check the car, making sure it's in perfect working order. I already did that. Besides the fact that the driver needs special training, this is no ordinary car. Reinforced roof, roll bar, double shoulder harness, and I'll be wearing a helmet. Oh, it's that Death Proof car from that Kurt Russell movie, Death Proof. Wubble, 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 wubble. Let's do it! Action! Look out! Steele, are you all right? The harness held me in place. Help me get out of here. You're lucky the gas tank didn't explode. It'd take a lot more than this to make a gas tank go up, but someone did something to the brakes. I almost went over the edge. Dave, I thought you checked this car. I did, before I picked you up. Someone must have gone to them while I was gone. Come with us, Mr. Steele. We want to check you over, make sure you're okay. All right, boys. You coming, Jerry? No. I got something I need to do first. I'll see you later. I need to get more brown hair dye. I seem to be going blonde in this panel. Here I am, Mattson. What's up? Have you found out anything about the accidents? Action! There's something fishy about those accidents. They're too clean, as if no one's supposed to really get hurt. How well do you know your stunt gaffer, Dave Steele? Move around, move around. Steele worked in my first picture 20 years ago. He was one of the best stuntmen in Hollywood. Was? Good. Steele dropped out of sight about 10 years ago. No one knew exactly what happened, except that he was vacationing down here in Mexico when he disappeared. He showed up about the time we started shooting and asked me for a job. Didn't you already have a crew working by then? Of course, but the next day my stunt gaffer had an accident. Yeah, an accident. And I gave Steele the job. You think Steele could be behind all this? He was driving the car. He would have been risking his own neck. Listen, Josephs, while the standby medics were checking Steele after the crash, I checked the car. There was nothing wrong with the brakes. Oh, that's not suspicious after all. You'd think if this guy wanted to get away with something, then he would have self-sabotaged the brakes. But no, now he might as well just wear a sign around his neck saying he's guilty. The only thing I can't figure out is what Steele would have to gain from all this. I'm going to do a little snooping into where Steele's been for the last 10 years. Then I think I've got a plan. Psh, cut! Okay, let's do it again. But this time with a window from the 23rd floor. Oh, and by the way, our airbags are still broken. Action! And now, Mr. Blonde, let's you and I have a talk. Let's eat first. Cut! Stunt double! This fire suit should be enough to protect Mahoney from the flames, but this special gel makes sure. He's got to wear it everywhere the flame might leak through a seam. The neck, wrist, waist, all the zippers. Let's go, we're behind schedule. Okay, now that's the director I know. Okay, everybody, ready, action, stop! There's something wrong with the gel. There's alcohol in it. That's it, we've taken too many chances already. This picture is shut down. Oh, yeah, definitely a fictional story here. The only reason a movie would be shut down if it's 95% complete and the studio needs a tax write-off. Everybody pack up and get ready to head back to LA in the morning. Later that night, a few moments later, and Steele is in a cave and he has a little bag. Oh, he was the bad guy. Who knew? Steele, give it up. It's over. How did you figure this out, Mattson? Someone like Steele doesn't just drop out of sight, so I checked with the local police and they knew all about him. 10 years ago, we arrested Senor Steele for jewel robbery here in Cabo San Lucas, but we never found the jewels. I'm assuming Jerry is talking again. When he got out of jail, Steele headed straight here. Only you were all set to shoot a scene in his cave and had guards to keep people away. I was desperate. I had to get rid of you before you shot in my cave and found my jewels. I didn't want to hurt Mahoney. I had the extinguisher. I wouldn't have let him burn. I just wanted to scare him. And you, Josephs. I thought it worked. After talking to the police, I knew you had to be after the jewels, so I got Mr. Josephs to pretend to shut down the production, then all we had to do was follow you. You may have the jewels, but you can't arrest me. I already did time for the robberies. Maybe so, but the police want you for causing the original stunt gaffer's accident. And for what you almost did to Hal Mahoney. Take him away. The end. Alright, besides my snark, that was actually a really good comic. I don't know, I think that had a very logical progression. It was very well paced. The characters were all set up and likable, and it had a mystery going on. It was kind of an obvious mystery, but like I say, this is based off like a 70s cop show or investigator show where the bad guy was usually always set up right at the beginning. And it taught its audience about the world of stunt work and how they do certain stunts and how they have to set up, and it didn't sound like they were just delivering exposition. It actually sounded natural. So, yeah, well done, well done. Will we see more Jerry Mattson comics in the future? I highly doubt it, but hey, we'll see what happens in the next few issues. And there's the Ice Capades and Harlem Globetrotters again. We keep seeing this ad, so moving on. And here is an article about GPS. Can you imagine that there was a time where the world did not have GPS? I mean, nowadays, nobody can go down the street without having to turn on Google Maps and remember which direction to turn to get to a place on that exact street. But no, GPS was a novel invention back in the early 90s. It was basically invented in Japan. But even then, you had to get your car decked out with all sorts of really expensive upgrades. Plus, you had to have a CD player, which, again, was very novel for the time. So yeah, you got the CD, you got the upgrade, and you probably had to upgrade the upgrades every couple years or even months, and yeah, there's your GPS. I remember having to go onto MapQuest and print out directions step by step. That's how I got directions to places back in the day. But yeah, now I and probably everybody else in the world, we have Google Maps on our phones, so as long as we remember to turn on the location function on our phones, yeah, we can find anything, anywhere, and know exactly how to go. You know, with our trusty GPS, we'll never be lost. And we got some fast facts here, like what's a satellite? Well, it's a dubious Eurovision winner from Germany by Lena Meyer. Whatever. You know, it goes like a satellite, I'm in orbit all the way around you. And yeah, it's a good song, but considering the runners-up in that Eurovision contest, yeah, it's arguable if that was the best song. Yeah, I checked that season of Eurovision out, what of it? And then Steering by the Stars, that's how people got around back then. They followed the stars, and then at some point they decided to make maps and chart the globe. But they still couldn't find the nearest Burger King when everybody was hungry, and that's what led to many mutinies back then. And now here's about as technological and futuristic as you could get for back in the 90s, video phones. Yeah, once upon a time, video phones were just known in science fiction stories and sometimes science fiction movies, but no, eventually they did manage to combine video and phones, except technology back then to do so was incredibly expensive, like they had to spend millions of dollars just to deck out a small room for conferences and the like, and then for smaller projects, they just had still images scanned to the receiver every couple seconds. And yeah, since practically before telephone and television, everybody thought that the future would be video phone. Everybody thought that people would just be meeting in person from thousands of miles apart. And remember, this article was written decades before Skype was even a twinkle in Janice Free's eye. Except if anything, this is what I've noticed, I think we've gone backwards in communication technology, if anything. I mean, yes, video calls are very popular now. Anyone can just pick up their phone and call somebody and have a video chat with them, or go to Skype and do the same thing. You know, we can just have video conferences or video chats with practically anybody in the world. But most people prefer text. Yeah, when's the last time you actually picked up a phone and called someone, like actually talked to them with your human voice? I mean, nowadays, everybody, including me, are just more comfortable with picking up their phones and texting a quick message to some human that they know. And actual phone calling, actually talking to somebody, has just become a lot more intimate. Like, people don't call other people unless they absolutely have to, unless it's something really important or they just want to hear their voice, or we as a society have just become a lot more shy in that regard. We are just a lot less comfortable with human contact. But even people sitting on a couch are just more comfortable with texting each other, even though they're sitting right next to each other, which I just think is just stupid. I'm not that much of an introvert. If somebody's on the couch right next to me, I will talk to them in person if I have to, because I don't want to talk to somebody who I don't have to. But if I have to talk to the person right next to me, then I will gladly talk to them and not text them, unless the only way they can communicate is through text, like they can't speak or they have to have some sort of translation program, or, I don't judge. I will communicate with people the way they want to be communicated with, either through a text message or a call or a video chat, whatever they're most comfortable with. I will consider chatting with them that way. Not promising anything, but I'm open to it. And here we go, some more fast facts. So we got some flashbulb fish, the deep sea angler and the little lantern that hangs in front of their face. And from what I understand, deep sea anglers are blind. It's the light is actually there to attract smaller fish that aren't as blind, that can somewhat sense light. So yeah, the lantern on a deep sea angler is meant for the angler's benefit, just not in the benefit that you'd think. Also, it provides an adequate jump scare when you go on that Finding Nemo submarine voyage. Yeesh. And then muscle mouth. If you say your name out loud, you have just used 17 muscles from your tongue to your jaw. And that's why I do these videos. I don't talk as often as I should. Yeah, again, like I was talking about with the texting back here. But I do hope that one day I can talk and I can do these videos and I won't be constantly stumbling over myself. But that day is nowhere near the future. You also use 17 muscles when you smile, and if you think it takes a lot of energy to show you're happy, it takes even more muscle work because you use more than 40 muscles to frown. Oh, is that why I'm always exhausted? And then here's a little bit about how no two people have the same fingerprints, so that's why they use fingerprints to profile people. And that is sketchy. That's not exactly true. So apparently there's like 2 quintillion different results for a fingerprint. So yeah, you and somebody else have a 1 in 2 quintillion chance of sharing fingerprints. Unless, of course, you're that guy from Dark City with the spiral fingerprints, in which case, no, nobody will ever share those same fingerprints with you. But at the same time, when people use fingerprints to profile people, well, they have to look for 2 quintillion differences in the fingerprints with smudged ink. So yeah, there's gonna be mistakes there. So don't rely on fingerprinting to clear your name if you're ever wrongly accused, or even rightly accused, and you think that you can get out of it. And then tsunamis. Tsunamis are usually caused by earthquakes under the sea, also known as seaquakes. And then the tidal waves travel at 400 to 500 miles per hour, and they can go up to 50 feet. And one wave in 1755 wiped out Lisbon, the capital city of Portugal. That is actually true. Almost the entire city of Lisbon was completely destroyed, and they had to destroy everything still standing and just start all over again. Could you imagine if something like that happened to a modern city? Could you imagine if just a giant tsunami wiped out New York? Just how much chaos and catastrophe that would cause? Like, we are talking the end of global economics and the end of reliable foreign correspondence. So, yeah, if a tsunami ever does strike New York City and completely destroy it, well, let's hope you're in New York City at that time, because I would imagine that the world that would leave would be one that's even worse to live in. And then we have the super expensive electronic gadgets that they're trying to get you to buy. So we have Movits, that's how they're actually spelled, M-O-V-I-T-S. They're weird little electronic robot kits. And so this one is a line tracker. So you draw a line on some paper and it can track it. Is this really the first instance of a robot that can track a graphite line like that? Because I swear I saw some commercials from like the 80s that had these cars that could follow a traced pencil line. I don't know. I could be completely mistaken. And then if you want some pictures in a panoramic view, then get the Kodak stretch camera. It's only about $11, and photographs are twice as wide as a normal snapshot. Taking photographs in widescreen? Wow, what a novel concept. I'm surprised that nobody does that today. And then here's an ad for the Chippendale Rescue Rangers game. We've been over that many times. And here's our Tailspin comic. Little plane of terrors, little plane of horrors, bop shi bop, bop shi bop 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 bop, boom ba boom bum bum. A miracle's about to happen. Baloo is on time. Too bad Rebecca's in no mood to appreciate it. I can't wait to see Becky's face when I bring this baby in, Kit. I must be at least 4 seconds early. Baloo, I bet Miss Cunningham will give you some kind of award. Ta-da! I'm here. So what do you think, Rebecca? You impressed or aren't you? By what? All the presents and cards and balloons and flowers? Ah, shucks, Becky. Just because I'm on time is no reason to go to all that trouble. I mean my birthday, you nitwit. I didn't get anything from you. Not a thing. Would you believe the cake is in the mail? No! Now take this assignment and go! And I don't care if you ever come back! You know, I hear a lot of people don't like Rebecca from Tailspin, and yeah, it's instances like these where I see why. I mean, she's supposed to be his employer, he's supposed to be her employee, and yet often in the show and these comics, they act like they're an unhappy married couple. Like, she's expecting Baloo, well, okay, she is expecting Baloo to do his job, and 9 times out of 10, he doesn't always do it to specifications. But she's also technically expecting him to do things that are outside his job description, like here, throw her a party, which kind of goes against the employer-employee relationship. I mean, she just thinks that as an employer, she's entitled to tell him to do whatever she wants, including throw her a party or take her to a dance or take her out to the theater or whatever else she's done in comics and TV. But no, that's not how this kind of relationship is supposed to work. And considering the increasingly toxic modern workplace and that there seem to be a lot of employers that do have this mindset where they do think they can tell their employees to do whatever they want, even if it's outside their job description, and employees usually do have to comply or risk being terminated and somebody else taking over. And of course the many reports of sexual misconduct between employers and employees. And yeah, these stories have aged more and more poorly, so yeah, I get why people hate Rebecca. I'm just lukewarm to her, so. Maybe you could get her some flowers. Ms. Cunningham would like flowers. Only if they were on my grave, Kit. Okay, that was a good one. Careful, you fools! Can't you clumsy idiots be more careful? I'm assuming that's his voice. Guess someone forgot his birthday, too. Dr. Wiles! Dr. Wiles! Not now, Jonesy! Wow, Baloo, what's that? I don't know, kid, but I think it just might be the answer to my prayers, providing I can afford it. I hate to part with the little cutie, but you do seem to like her. Becky's gonna love it, and $20 is a cheap price to pay to get on her good side for once. But I know, I told you I wasn't gonna sell any of the Chippets, Jonesy, but she'll be just fine. And I promise she'll be coming back to us real soon. Yeah. Ooh, don't laugh in that voice. Should I write in the log that Dr. Wiles didn't want us to touch his stuff or see his laboratory? Sure. And just in case Becky sees it, write that I paid 50. No, 100. No, $500 for the Chippet. Do I hear 1,000? No, we'll just leave it at 500. Getting that animal was the smartest move I've made in a career of smart moves. You know, like Jungle Book 2. Hey, what happened to my pen? It was right here a minute ago. Oh, Chippets. I get it now. Maybe the airplane gremlins got it. Ask the Chippet. Oh, sure. I guess I must have dropped it. Uh-huh. I know where this is going. I got a little something for you. Oh, Baloo! It's darling! And it's for me? Yep. The man who raises them says there are none like them in the world. You know, I've always had a problem with this kind of plot in movies and TV, you know, where someone just shows up at the doorstep of someone that they like with a pet as a gift, and then the person receiving the gift is just going, yay, a puppy, yay, a kitty, oh, it's all for me, I've always wanted one. Because that does not seem logical. You know, if somebody I knew, even if it was somebody I liked, showed up at my doorstep with a puppy or a kitty or whatever pet they want to hand off to me, I would just be like, thanks, but I don't have the resources to take care of it. Raising a pet is going to be a huge time and money sink for me, and I just don't have the time or the money to feed it or care for it. I appreciate the gesture, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to decline. I mean, I guess it's okay if you're like getting it for your kids or something, you know, that you want to spring a surprise on your kids, knowing full well that you're probably going to end up being the caretaker of the pet until they finally get into the rhythm. But if you're getting a pet for your significant other or a friend, I think it's better to consult with them before springing something that major on them. That's just my opinion. I'd like to charter the... Good heavens, what's that? Wait, is that another human? No, he has like dog ears and back hair, so no, I guess he's not quite a human, you know, like unlike that Stunt they made with the very first Tailspin comic that we saw in the fall 1990 magazine. It's a Chippet, one of a kind, but we can get you one for $100. Yes, I must have one. And they go back and get more Chippets. Now remember, don't cage them. They like to be free. Too bad they grow. They're cute when they're little. I'm getting sick to the back teeth with cute. Oh, they've been doing this for a while, huh? Well, at least they're getting rich. I mean, turn $20 into $100. I'll take that deal. Gentlemen, I caught one of the workers with this. Dad, blame it. Every time we come here, something gets stolen. This time, it's the steering wheel. I'll talk to the workers about it. I'm getting a little tired of being a Chippet shipper. Well, you're just going to be shipping other stuff, so what are you talking... What's your complaint? This is your job. Me too! At least Ms. Cunningham's happy. Your casual attitude towards my things has gone far enough, Baloo. I can't seem to find anything, and now my makeup bag is gone. But Becky, what would I want with your makeup bag? Say, Baloo, did you know you're the second person I know to fly without any tires? I'm guessing they stole the tires. I'm guessing that's what the joke is. Whoa! I was first in line for a Chippet! Stop shoving your cheat! I was first! Nobody's noticed yet, huh? Nobody's noticed the gremlins? Phew! That's the last Chippet! Yeah, Rebecca. And what say we make it absolutely the last, okay? Again, you have an increasingly lucrative business venture here, so why stop in the middle? They're paying through the nose for something that you get for dirt cheap, so why... whatever. Absolutely not! We'd be crazy to... Hey! See, she agrees. Hate to bother you while you're playing musical chairs. Sorry you lost, Rebecca, but has anyone seen my toolbox? Or my chair? Or my pen? Or Kit's airfoil? Whoa! This beastie's getting big! Oh, bummer. And that's the last anyone sees of Wildcat. And that's the last anyone saw of Wildcat. Okay, this is the last anyone's ever seen of Wildcat. Don't you ever feed this poor thing, Rebecca? We're ahead of you, Becky. Baloo, rescue him! We're ahead of you, Becky. Come on, Kit, let's go! Okay, so it's running away, and they don't catch it, and so they have to get in a plane to catch it? How fast is this thing running? He swallowed Wildcat, then ran off. You see him? I can't tell which Chippet is which. There's a bunch of them running fast that-a-way. Apparently faster than an airplane. Good grief. I mean, if they're that fast, then why do you even need motors? If they're moving that fast, then why do you even need motorized vehicles? Just tie like 6 of them to a cart or a paddle boat, and you'll get your deliveries done in half the time. I've had a funny feeling about that Dr. Wiles for some time now. Let's go pay him an uninvited visit. Yep, the Chippets are all returning. Is this where you think Wildcat is going to end up? Bingo. Here's a nice one. I like the Chippets better before you made them big enough to steal things, Dr. Wiles. I knew it. The Chippets are big, fuzzy thieves. Yeah, with a name like Chippet, who would have guessed? I want to take a closer look at those ugly critters the Chippets are giving gifts to. Don't move. We're on your side. We're fed up with the way Dr. Wiles treats us and the Chippets. He keeps us captive like he keeps the male Chippets caged. And, oh, okay, Wildcat did survive. The Chippets spit him out. What a far-out ride. Kinda wet, though. Jonesy, terminate him. Oh, but Dr. Wiles, I'm a vegetarian. Wait, did you take that as him ordering you to eat him after you shoot him? Or does the writer not know the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan? A vegetarian is somebody who chooses not to eat meat or other animal products because, well, they don't want to eat meat or other animal products because for health reasons or they don't like the taste of meat. Whereas vegans choose not to eat meat or use animal products because they're protesting the cruelty towards animals. Most, if not all, vegans are vegetarian, but not all vegetarians are vegan. This has been your overly pedantic argument for the comic. Give me that, you worthless, no-good animal lover!
Drop it, Wiles, or you're gonna be sorry.
I'm gonna be sorry. You're a little slow, fatso. Ooh, you can't say that word anymore. Edit it out. Wow, is this like hostile aggression or something? Yow! This is war!
You're not going anywhere.
We've got just a place for you. Don't remember what voice I gave him.
Come on, you guys, out of your cages.
It's into the cages with you two.
Well, that's all the stuff the Chippets took.
So what's to stop them from stealing more?
The workers say that once the female Chippets marry the male, they stop giving gifts to them.
Ha 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 ha, commentary, ha ha ha, marriage sucks. Also, are you telling me that those are the female Chippets? Those are the... What? No, I'm not buying that. I mean, those look like little cows. Those look like little pigs or cows. There's a very bovine design to them, whereas these guys are obviously rodentia, like little ferrets or gophers or... No, I am not buying that for a second. There was probably like a disconnect between artist and writer. But hey, I don't know, maybe a cow and a ferret can reproduce and give us some carrots. You're responsible for this. We demand you find our belongings.
It's all here. Just help yourselves.
Oh, they put every single thing that was ever stolen into their plane for this angry crowd to just pick up, huh? Yeah, I'd love to see how that goes. But apparently it does go well because here's Baloo bringing his stuff back.
We got Wildcat and all the stuff you lost.
Oh, Baloo, I had to give everybody their money back. We're broke. Well, unless you immediately spent the money that you were given, then you should still have the money to give it back. So, no, you're not broke. You're just back in square one. Though if you did immediately spend the money you were given and had to dip into your own accounts to pay everyone back, then, yeah, that would be trouble. And another reason not to like Rebecca.
Nah, not after the police give us the reward for capturing a couple of dangerous criminals.
Yeah, if they decide to pay out.
And besides, I found these for you.
Oh, Baloo, they're beautiful.
And best of all, they don't eat things.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. And here we are with some Super Bowl facts. Oh, great, something I couldn't care less about. Yeah, let's just get through this. The big game, fun Super Bowl facts, called the greatest game in the world. How much did tickets to Super Bowl I cost? $10. They cost $125 now. Ha! Oh, if only that was the case now. No, to get like even a crappy ticket to the Super Bowl would run you about $3,000 to $5,000 nowadays. If you want to get one of the good seats, you're looking at about $30,000 to $50,000. You know, I'm called excessive when I spend $300 on a clone video game system, but people selling their car just so that they can afford a football ticket don't have that problem. Crazy world we live in. How successful was Super Bowl I? Not very, only 2/3 full. Times have changed. Super Bowl's most valuable player award ever going to the... Yeah, so Dallas linebacker Chuck Howley won the most valuable player award for Super Bowl V, even though his team lost, because he, did 2 or 3 intercepts and started a fumble for his other team. So he was, the most powerful player in the game. I don't remember what they actually call it besides the most valuable player. Technically, he didn't even want the honor. He didn't want to remember that he was in a game where his team lost. But they also gifted him a station wagon that he could gift to his wife. So, happy wife, happy life. And then the longest field goal in Super Bowl history, Jan Stannerund kicked a 48-yarder for Kansas City. Good for him. And Denver's Rich Karlis matched him in 1987. Good for him. Who made the longest Super Bowl run? Forrest Gump. Oh, no, I mean, Marcus Allen ran 74 yards in 1984. Good for him. And then the team that scored the fewest points in Super Bowl history were the Miami Dolphins against the Dallas Cowboys, losing 24-3. Yeah, Miami just can't catch a break. Miami loses to the Dallas Cowboys in football, and then they lose to the Chicago Cubs in baseball, if we are to believe Back to the Future 2. I know the Chicago Cubs actually won the World Series against a different team. I'm just making a joke because I know nothing about sports. Which quarterback holds a Super Bowl record for the most touchdown passes in a game? San Francisco 49er quarterback Joe Montana threw 5 TD passes against Denver in 1989. Well, of course, he's Joe Montana. I don't even follow sports, and I know that Joe Montana is awesome. Team rushed for the fewest yards in a Super Bowl game, New England Patriots in 1986. Who was the heaviest player to ever score a Super Bowl touchdown? The Chicago Bears, William Refrigerator Perry. Yeah, I know that guy too. At the time, he weighed an estimated 330 pounds. Oh, he's only 50 pounds heavier than me? That's good? Bad to know? I don't know. Of course, most of those pounds are probably muscle, like solid muscle. And there's his world championship ring that they teased at the beginning of this magazine, so yeah, that was worth the wait. And then some questions about balls. He said balls.
Yeah, he said balls.
Okay, anyway. Why does a golf ball have dimples? Because it makes him look so cute. Oh, look at your little dimples. Look at... Okay, no, it's actually to decrease air resistance on golf balls. And then a tennis ball has fuzz to make them less bouncy. Makes perfect sense. And then baseballs have layers upon layers of cork and foam and rubber. And yes, so much goes into a baseball. And from what I understand, they only last like 8 pitches before they're too worn out to use in a Major League Baseball game. And then a football is not made out of pig skin, but they call it a pig skin because that's what they used to use for balls back in the day. They inflated pigs' bladders and kicked those around, which, hey, the pigs weren't using them anymore. At least I hope they weren't. And then a little bit about stunt flyers. So a lot of movies like to use World War II era planes because they look awesome in the background and they can do all sorts of aerial maneuvers. And even when the movie's not World War II themed, then the movie still takes inspiration from World War II era films and films that use World War II era planes. You know, like Star Wars did a lot of that. Star Wars copied a lot of dogfights from old war movies. And it's apparently not that hard to fly one of these planes if you're an experienced pilot, but pilots can still get killed. Like, Paul Mantz and Frank Tallman were both killed while working for the movies. Not really. So Paul Mantz, I did look this up. So Paul Mantz, yes, he was doing stunt work for the Flight of the Phoenix movie back in the 60s, and he like bounced off a hill or something, and his plane split in two, and he nosedived and killed him instantly. But he was intoxicated at the time, apparently. And then Frank Tallman, I think he was like in between projects when he was like flying off the coast of Mexico, I think it was, and he flew into extreme fog and bounced off a hill, and that's what killed him. So it wasn't the movies that killed them, it was just poor judgment. So yeah, fly safe. And then here's a little article about in 1942, 8 fighter planes and bombers were forced down in Greenland. And yeah, they became known as the Lost Legion. And then about 48 years later, these people found out, the Greenland Expedition Society found out where they were. And as per their name, they launched an expedition to get them out of the ice. And yeah, they started on that. So like in 1993, 1994, they finally got one of the planes out, the Glacier Gal. They finally found all the pieces to that plane and reassembled it, and yeah, it's been flying in air shows since. And then only 20 years later, they found another plane called the Echo, and they've gotten practically all the pieces of that out as well, and they've just been stuck since then. There are like 6 planes left, but they can't find them, and the cost of bringing them up is extravagant. So the rest of the Lost Legion may just be lost forever. And then over here, we got more sports gear to buy. So if you want an easily grabbable basketball, we got the grabber. And then if you want graphics, you got the Jammin' Ball. Both sell for about $21. And back in 1991, that was probably the equivalent of 6 months of mowing lawns. And then you can get a waterproof headlamp, Horizon boots, the lightweight hiking boots, and you can get the Sierra Light Junior nylon and suede running shoes. So, you know, if you ever find yourself in 1991 and you want to play some sports, then here's stuff you can wear and the price points. And then, of course, we have this ad that we've seen in several magazines already that I don't have anything else to talk about. So let's go on to our third and final comic. Oh, no, wait, fourth and final comic. I'm sorry, I forgot about the Stuntman comic. Yeah, surprisingly, no DuckTales comic in this one. That's a first. But instead, we get the return of Roger Rabbit, whom we haven't seen since Volume 1, Number 1. So, let's see if I can get my Roger Rabbit voice. Okay, I think I'm set.
20,000 leaks under the sink.
Okay, good pun. That's actually that's a good pun to start out with.
After a particularly hard day at the studio, a certain hard-working hare just wanted to relax, but something was amiss. Something like a sound. Hardly noticeable at first, but it wouldn't go away. In fact, it got so loud that, well, you know how it is. Drat! I got that sinking feeling it's the kitchen sink! I don't know, you try to give these faucets a good home, and what do you get? Aha! There you are! Pipes! Always pipes! I knew it! Oh, and a leak! I guess I better call a professional! Or a plumber!
Like a professional what, if not a plumber? I'm legitimately curious.
And so, yeah, a leak! So how much moolah to fix it? Doing, bong.
Yeah, see, who says that slapstick in comics doesn't work?
Yep, as I always say, if you want something done cheap, you gotta do it yourself. Ugh, with the right tools, of course. Ready, guys?
You betcha, Roger. Okay, Bob.
So technically he's not doing it himself, he's enslaving some sentient tools to do it for him. I don't know what the union rules in Toontown are.
Come on now, cut it out. Payday! 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 Oh! Plumbers! No wonder they charge so much.
Which is why I know how to fix a leaky pipe, so I've never had to call a plumber, thankfully. That is like one of very, very, very few talents that I have. I know how to fix a leak under a kitchen sink. Woot.
That's one ornery leak. Time to give a little first aid. There! As good as new! That was almost too easy. Huh? What?
I feel like they needed another panel there where he says, "What?" as the water is about to burst, and then he gets thrown back by the force of the water. That would have been funnier. Whatever.
Oh yeah, yep, definitely too easy. I'd call my friend Eddie Valiant, but the comics page cannot afford Bob Hoskins at this time. Also, he is dead. That is sad. Hey, I bet I could plug it from the inside. Yeah, I'll just reach down and... I can't seem to find it. Better take it out and see. Gotcha!
He's trying to find the leak by reaching in and grabbing it? What sense does that make? But yeah, that's about what you'd expect from a plan that harebrained.
There! Just a little more! Wait a minute! There shouldn't be this much... there's only so much pipe under the sink! Whoopsie! Oh no! What am I gonna do? I've liquidated my house! I've committed homicide on my home!
That was a really good pun there, too.
I've bungled my bungalow!
Oh man, this comic is really churning them out.
And wrecked my residence!
Okay.
Just leave it.
Oh, it's the tools talking.
Just leave it to us, Roger. We can do the job.
Really? Are you sure? Are you kidding?
We'll have it fixed. You betcha. Just remember to pay us our union fees, Bob.
So, while Roger times them, 30, 12, 10, 40, 0, 7, 11, 1 10 to the 5th Tyrone power.
Okay, we pulled the leaky pipe and fixed the whole system. You can look now.
Oh, great job, guys.
Well, that's what you get for free labor.
It may look weird, but the wonderful soundless sound, that hushed, muted, soft, and quiet simplicity.
I don't know how to say that.
Not even the slightest, teeniest, itsy bitsy.
Let's go, guys.
Yeah, this place is nuts. Gangway.
Go, go, go.
Drip, 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 drip. Huh? What? Who's that? So you're the culprit! How come you're still leaking after you've been disremoved?
So the pipes are sentient here? Good grief, what else is sentient? The floor? Well, the floor was actually sentient in Pee Wee Herman, so I don't know, I guess it follows Sausage Party logic. That is, no logic.
It's easy! I got a cold in my nose! So that's it! There, now you rest easy and I'll go make some soup. Yeah, Prince Roger, thank you.
when suddenly... Our moral, finest is golden.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. That was actually really good. That was a really funny one. I'm sorry I had to keep laughing through it. I know that ruins the humor for most people, but that was really good. Anyway, here's the puzzles, games, and activities section. Here's our usual Ant Boy maze, and someone has gone through the trouble of finishing it for us, so thank you, whoever, so I don't have to waste my time. And speaking of wasting time, all but 3 of the dominoes on the clock have exact duplicates scattered around the page. Which 3 don't have matching dominoes? I don't know, and I don't care. Figure it out for yourself. Sky Scramble. Melvin, the cross-eyed skywriter, writes nice words in the sky. Trouble is, nobody can read them. See if you can unscramble his sky writings. Now, I was going to give up on this one, but just from looking at the bottom up, I know exactly what it says. It says, if you can read this, you too can be a skywriter. I don't know, it's just amazing what the human brain can do. As long as the letters are in somewhat where they need to be, then you can read a passage without the letters being spelled the right way. Of course, that's what always trips me up when I'm reading these books. I always read one word and it's actually another word, so maybe it's just too prevalent in my mind. But at least my mind is good for something. Not for this, though. It's a 4th quarter game, so, you just close your eyes and you drag a coin over one of the balls, and if it touches one of the balls, then you get a point, and so let's just see who gets the most points, you or a friend. I'm just gonna leave that on screen for a second. You can screenshot it if you want, and then you can play it with a friend. Okay, we're done. We're moving on. Number Cruncher, one of these 5 computers is connected to the printer. Your job is to find out which one, and you have to unscramble all the numbers and then add them up and see which computer adds up to the number down here, which, like with the skywriting, I don't even really need to put that much brain power to know that says 21. So, which computer adds up to 21? I don't know, and I don't care. Figure that out yourself. And here's another Chester Cheetah. Oh, we've seen this ad before with Chester Cheetah skiing away. Still more exciting than his Genesis game. And there's the answers page. Oh, they flipped him upside down this time. Did we get that before? I don't remember. And here's the next issue teaser of Adventures. Yeah, finally they put it at the end. I don't understand why the other issues put it near the middle. In fact, even before the middle. So it just makes more sense to put it at the end. So here we go. So the next issue, we get to see the world of trains and discover the secret world of the gypsy. You can't say that word anymore. Track down all sorts of animals, pack the house with real popcorn, take skiing to the extreme, and catch your preview of the latest movie screens. So basically stuff that we've seen to an extent in previous issues. So yeah, we'll probably be seeing more of that stuff next week. Goodbye! Thunk! And there's an ad for DuckTales for NES again. And if only Treasure of the Lost Lamp got this much advertising, it probably wouldn't have bombed as hard. And then Capri Sun. I think we saw this ad before. I'm okay with Capri Sun. I mean, I prefer like actual juice, but if there's nothing else to drink around, then Capri Sun does the trick. And that was the February 11th, 1991 issue of Disney Adventures. So, what did we learn this week? That if you behave yourself as a Disney princess model, then maybe one day you'll be cast as a crotchety old squirrel. That there's supposedly a stone alligator in Mexico, just nobody can find it. That if you plan to work as a stunt person, you need to bring your own tools to work. And if you are very, very popular, then Bob Saget will smile down from you from, well, wherever he is. And there we go. Another week, another issue of Disney Adventures. Thank you all for watching, and if you have watched to this point, you are awesome. But if you want to be super awesome, please check out my Patreon. These retro magazines aren't cheap, and your patronage will ensure that I can continue to take a look at them and not have to live in a dumpster while doing it. And if you do choose to donate, I will list your name in the credits of these videos so that everybody else will know just how super awesome you are. But whatever you choose, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you next week for another issue of Disney Adventures.